Hi and welcome to another episode of Roettgen Braai Master. Today we are cold smoking salmon. Now what you need for it and how to do it, I'm going to show you in this episode. Alright, and this is already all we need for today. Now we need a lovely piece of salmon, and this is a Norwegian salmon which was called wild off the coast. Now you need 100 grams of salt, 100 grams of sugar, you need some dill, you need some bio oranges, and you need a bag to put the fish as well as all the other ingredients in. Now I'm going to vacuum pack it, so this is a vacuum bag, but obviously you can use a Ziploc bag as well. Just make sure that you try to squeeze as much air out of it as possible. Now, as a piece of advice, what you want to do with those vacuum bags, in order to form a proper seal, you want to fold it over a little bit on the top, just to make sure that whenever you are putting something inside the bag, it doesn't touch the area where you want to form your seal. And then I've learned over time that it's easier if you place the salmon into the bag first before you actually add any of the other ingredients. Because otherwise it might just fall off. Alright, so we're going to put the salmon in the bag, and now we're going to quickly take care of our oranges. Now what we need are a couple of nice slices, not too thin and not too thick, so I suggest about half a centimeter thick, which we're then going to place onto the salmon. But at first we're going to add about half of the sugar and salt mix onto the salmon. Right, we're going to start off with the sugar and just liberally coat the salmon with the sugar. Make sure that it gets everywhere. And then we're going to add the salt. Now don't worry, you can't over salt or over sugar, so to speak, your salmon, because once the cells have taken up all the salt and sugar that they can, it will naturally stop. And what we're now going to do is we're now going to place the oranges onto the salmon, onto the sugar and salt mix. And then we're going to add the rest of the sugar and salt mix onto the oranges. Alright, fantastic. And as I said, we're just going to add the rest to it, because obviously that will draw out some of that moisture as well. And in the end, you fold over the part, the top part where you want to create the seal. Make sure everything is nice and tight in place, and then you vacuum pack it, and then it goes in the fridge for 36 hours to cure. "36 hours later, and just look at how much liquid has come out of the salmon. So we're going to take it out of the bag and dab it dry. And you can obviously discard the liquid as well as the oranges, because we don't need that anymore. But it has a lovely orange smell to it, and look how much harder the salmon has gotten over time, and you can see the indentations of the oranges. I'm just going to dab it dry a little bit, but it has also taken on a lovely color. Now in the next step, you're going to take a sharp knife and make an incision right about here all the way through. So through the skin as well, because this is where the hook is going to go. And then we're going to take the dill and sprinkle it on the salmon and coat it nicely. Rub it in, make sure that you have a little bit of dill pretty much everywhere, because it will just add a phenomenal level of flavor. As we're cold smoking today, I like to use my little cold smoke generator, I guess that's what they call it, and we're using beech tree shavings. So this is type 3, which I got off the internet, and it's just absolutely lovely. Now, to make it easy to fill this, I'm using a small measuring cup, because you want to obviously not waste any of it, and also you have to pack it tightly in there in order for it to burn consistently over a long time. So what you do is there's an opening on both ends where you can light it. What I like to do is I cover it with my finger and I just pour the first bit into it, and then you press it into the cold smoke generator. Obviously quite a bit will fall to the side, but you can reuse that obviously afterwards. And then you just press it in, make sure that it's nice and compact, and then you just fill up the entire cold smoke generator. All set up, and we're now going to go outside and we're going to smoke it in the Kamado for the first time. The cold smoke generator is already in the Kamado. Now you can light it on one side or you can light it on both sides. I prefer to light it on one side. It just gives it a longer smoke period. And just make sure that you've obviously lit it properly all the way around, and then it will really run for a long time. Now this will last for about 6 hours, so we're going to check after about 5, you know, how things are going. My hook is already inside, and we're now going to attach the salmon to the hook at this little cut that we created, and we're gently going to close the lid, making sure that the salmon does not touch the cold smoke generator. So we may have to pull up the salmon a little further, and then we're good to go. Obviously what you want to make sure is that the vents on the top and the bottom are all the way open, to, you know, get a nice airflow going, but obviously you don't want to get it too hot, so we're looking at a temperature inside the Kamado of about 25 degrees. So that's why cold smoking really works well in the winter time, because that's when the external temperature is already rather low. Now obviously in the summer times, yes, you can do it as well, but if you have a 25 degree ambient temperature, it will be really tricky to control the temperature in the dome. The first 5 hours are up, so let's have a quick look. And as you can tell, the smoke generator has burnt down roughly halfway, so I've lit it on the other side as well, just to create a little bit more smoke. But we obviously don't want to over smoke it, so we want just a nice little smoky taste to it. So this is absolutely perfect. So we're now going to close the lid again for another couple of hours. Right, 24 hours later, the salmon was in the fridge for the entire time, wrapped in butcher's paper to give it some time to air out and for the first set of smoke to settle, and we're now ready for the second set of smoke. So we're going to put it back on for another round. And off we go. Alright guys, an additional smoke day later, as well as an additional 24 hours later in the fridge, and this is what the salmon looks like right now. I think it's absolutely fantastic. The color has changed dramatically, a nice deep red. The beech smell is definitely there, but not overpowering, so that is absolutely fantastic. And if you think back at the beginning of the video how pliable that salmon was, you know, when I put it in the vacuum bag, and now check this out. It has lost a lot of its moisture. And this is exactly what we want to see. Now what we're going to do, because I don't want to eat it immediately, we're going to wrap it in fresh butcher paper, put it in another vacuum bag and put it in the freezer until we are ready to eat it. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video about the cold smoked salmon. Now, as you can tell from the pictures, I cut the slices a bit thicker. I prefer it that way instead of the very thin ones, how you can get it in the grocery. Also, just a word of warning, usually the tip of the salmon, the thinner part, does tend to be a bit more salty than the thicker part, but that's quite alright, and I guess that's normal. Now you can eat it with horseradish, or you can eat it with sour cream, whichever way you like. We used it for our family Easter brunch with a little bit of sour cream and a little bit of paprika powder, so that was absolutely lovely. Now if you did enjoy the video, I would appreciate a comment and a thumbs up, and please obviously head over to that subscribe button for more great videos to come, and I hope to see you soon again. Roettgen Braai Master.